I got someone through the wall. I just stormed through the wall because I'm like, I wonder if I can hit anyone, and I fucking killed someone.
Hello friends, and apologies for the late upload this week as I needed a brief but needed rest after my Deathloop video. Now anyways, thanks to Ubisoft ANZ, I'm back again looking at my favourite shooter, Rainbow Six Siege. If you're not aware, every couple of months we get a new Siege update with a new operator and some changes. This time it's a new attacker that doesn't overly break the game and some changes that, unlike last season, didn't completely cater to the Pro League scene. Now we've got some small changes on 3 maps rather than one completely rework as well, so let's take a look at what's happened in Siege and whether these changes might be worth you returning to the series. Let's start with the new operator, of course, Osa, or Osa, but I'm saying Osa, who's an attacker with a special defensive gadget. Osa basically has a glass bulletproof shield that can be deployed on windows or doors that allow attackers a safe and clear view into the room. Osa's gadget is a bit like Mira's viewports and a deployable shield, and that she can hold up these glass deployable ports and use them like a shield, or she can plant them on the ground in doorways or on windows and use them for cover. But the kicker is, unlike Mira's viewports which are one way, Osa's shields aren't one way, and if you can see a defender, they can see you through the shield as well. Depending on what map you're on, these glass barricades are fantastic for getting a view into a room or corridor without overly exposing yourself or the rest of your team. What you will need to note though is that these glass barricades won't cover your body if you're standing up or depending on how you're located as you're rappelling on a wall. There's always a gap over the top of a viewport on a window and on a doorway, which basically makes them a glass bulletproof shield. When deploying them too, Osa will protect her immediate front, and when she's deploying them in a doorway or a window, she'll plant them on the ground and expand the glass shield, but her sides are exposed while she's doing this, so you may get caught out in a firefight or in a one-on-one scenario, like I did. Osa is a 2-speed 2-armor operator too, equipped with Thermite's 5.56 assault rifle, Captain Footjob's PDW submachine gun, the PMM handgun, and either a smoke grenade or claymore. Personally, I found that Osa works great when playing with some friends or randoms and using teamwork, but she is difficult to use when playing solo and not communicating with your team. Though when an operator with a glass deployable shield was announced, I had one question on my mind, and yes, thankfully just like Mira and Maestro, Osa's glass deployable shields can be shattered if they're meleeed, and they also have a small gas canister at the bottom of them as well that allow attackers or defenders to simply shoot them out and the shield drops away. Osa's shield too is just like a deployable shield in that it can be destroyed with explosive devices. We've also got some small operator changes too that, unlike last season, I don't mind. IQ can now easily identify gadgets on her scanning device and ping them to the team, making her a bit more useful. Mute's gadgets also work a little differently. They'll illuminate when they're in use, making it easier for attackers to spot them. Mute players will also notice that you won't get a detection field around the jammer before you deploy them, only after you deploy them. So if you've placed it in the wrong spot, you'll need to pick it up and replace it. Twitch now starts the round without her iconic drone. In the drone prep phase, she'll use a standard drone, but once the round starts, she can then throw out her shock drones during the round. Twitch's shock drones too can now jump and fire a laser rather than a taser and have unlimited charges, but there is a cooldown. However, one of the bigger changes is Fuse. Fuse can now deploy his gadget on reinforced walls and hatches, however it does take some time for the gadget to burn a hole through the reinforcement and then shoot the charges through. Map-wise, there isn't a complete map rework like we've gotten in the past, but some smaller, welcome changes. For example, downstairs in the vault on Bank, the bars are removed and replaced with solid walls. Now I can see why these changes were made, as hitting the bars previously during a shootout was frustrating, but a bank vault without giant bars just doesn't seem right, at least to me. There are some small changes too with Bank, like these skylights are now closed up. There is a new alley that goes from the front of the bank to the back of the bank, so you won't need to rappel over the building to actually get to the back of the building. Thankfully too, the front street is now littered with cars and vans, so defenders can't run out and pop attackers who have just started the round. There are also some small changes on other maps, like Border, where the locker rooms and lockers have been moved around a little bit so it's harder to get a window peek as an attacker. Also, the Motorbike Clubhouse map has a new flow in the bar area as well. We've also got a rework done on flash and stun grenades and how the flash works. Depending on how far away you are from the flash going off will depend on how long you're affected by the flash grenade. So you'll no longer be able to simply stop and face a wall if a flash grenade gets thrown in your direction. We've also got opponent rim lights. Now by default, enemies are now highlighted with a rim light, so it's now harder for attackers or defenders with certain camo to blend into environments to get a sneaky kill. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this because, as I've said previously, Siege is all about learning from dying. Also, that's why I no longer run the white camos for Frost and Buck. However, this preference can be turned off in the options menu for you, but not for other players. So if you've turned it off in the settings, other players can still have it turned on and see you hiding there. The last real change is the health system. Now, depending on what operator you pick, generally changes their speed and armor. For example, 3 speed 1 armor means they're fast as fuck and they're quiet too, while 3 armor has them heavy and sluggish like me after eating KFC.
Easy does it now, easy, a little more, yeah, right, that's fuck. I'll get your coat.
Now, depending on what operator you pick, that will change their total health pool. 1 armors now have 100% health, 2 armors now have 110, and 3 armors have 125. Also, too, if you equip a Rook armor pack, your total HP will increase from there as well. Now, I personally don't mind this change because you can sacrifice total health for speed and vice versa. I've also found a couple of interesting bugs too, and I wasn't sure if it was a gameplay bug or a kill cam bug, but for any time I died as Ossa, my character was carrying around a glass shield rather than a weapon. It's a small bug and it could be something worth noting for you, I just thought I'd let you know. Now, just like in every high-tension shooter as well, I found a couple of moments here and there where I'd shot an enemy in the head and for whatever reason, the game didn't register that it was a headshot and a kill, but that's common with these sort of games. All in all, Operation Crystal Guard is fine. It doesn't necessarily change too much like the previous operation did, and it adds a new operator that doesn't break the game. Ossa is a fine operator, she can definitely come in handy when playing with a crew of friends and you're all making callouts. The updated health system too makes it a bit easier to see your health, and you won't need to keep an eye on that old armor logo that used to appear when you used a Rook armor set. We've got one more operation before the end of the year, and whenever that releases, I think it's time to do a Siege 2021 summary review.
Down, she's down the stairs.
Nice, good shit. Oh, is that him?
Oh, getting all those proximity alarm assists.
Good shit, man. Good fucking shit.